Real quick before we get into today's video, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon for all their support, because without their help, the upgraded content that you see on the channel, that you really see in the video essays and a few of the lore discussions, would not be possible without their help. Obviously, the YouTube membership filler arc is still ongoing, but I can say over on the Patreon that you get sneak peeks of videos months in advance. Patrons also get priority on the Q&As. Every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul, and I give away a lot of good goodies in that. And it's also just really cool to talk to you guys in the DMs, and if some of you guys have theories that you want me to talk about on the channel, obviously I will talk about your theories. Just send them to me over on the Patreon. But with that being said, let's get into the review. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys a review for Boruto episode 220. And now that episode 220 is done and in the books, man, do we got a lot to talk about. I've seen people say, oh my god, this episode's gonna be filler. That's not the case. Most of this episode is stuff that took place in the manga. There were some anime original scenes that flesh out some of the stuff that took place in the manga and really just add more depth to everything. Stuff that a lot of people want in the manga, we see it in the anime. However, this is going to be the last manga adaptation that we're going to be getting for a while, something I've been saying as far back as last month when we got the promotional spoilers for episode 220. So with that being said though, I have to say I love the small additions that the anime added to this episode right here. And I love how they played at one of the core conflicts of part 1 of Boruto, which is Naruto's struggle as a father and as a Hokage, and finding that balance between the two, because the two roles are going to conflict with one another. And this episode was a brilliant example of what happens when you have a strong internal conflict and it's manifesting in an external way, and the two conflicts are clashing against one another. That is writing 101. When you talk about character development and character growth, you see it in Naruto and you see it in Boruto. You see the two conflicts from the internal perspective, with Boruto playing the game and he's getting the flashback of making Sasuke's Rinnegan go poke, and how the guy isn't willing to go to sleep because he fears if he goes to sleep that Momoshiki's going to take over. And then on the other side, you see how Naruto, once he's told by the Kages, in particular told by Gar, like, yo, if push comes to shove, can you kill your son? And Naruto's like, yeah. And Gar's like, no. I'm not talking about when Momoshiki takes over, will you step up and take care of Boruto? Because at that point, he's no longer going to be Boruto. He's going to be Momoshiki. I'm saying, can you take out Boruto before he becomes Momoshiki? I've seen people say, my god, Gar is just being too cold-blooded. That's not right for him to say that. You have to remember, Gar's own father was willing to say, okay, village over my child. And for Naruto to be presented with something like that, that's not a crazy conflict, because you have to remember, Hashirama also told Madara if it's to protect his village, he will kill his best friend. He will even kill his own child. This goes back to an age-old question that has existed in literature for centuries. Is one life more important than the lives of many? And that's what Naruto has to struggle with. And the reason why I say this goes back to a central conflict of what part 1 of Boruto is. I think people forget this. So the reason why Naruto is so prevalent right now is Naruto technically right now, it's Boruto's story, but by Boruto's own admittance. This is still my story, but in the beginning, this is the story of me and my father. The story of the boy who wanted to be Hokage. His story is done, but he plays a part in my story. So you could say this is the story of me and my dad. That's almost a quote verbatim from Boruto chapter 1, and the anime kept those lines in there as well. And so when you see that strong development like that, I love it. I absolutely love how that conflict is just bubbling all throughout the course of the episode. The small touches like Naruto getting up and he's looking out the Hokage office and he's looking out at the village he has to protect, and then he's also struggling with the fact that my son, I'm going to have to kill my son. And that is such a strong struggle, because as a parent, your one wish, your one desire is to take care of your child by any means necessary. If you're somebody who's a parent, which I know some of you guys are, or if you're somebody who has become a godparent, you know exactly what Naruto's going through, because I can say for myself, while I don't have kids, I do know how it feels when you're responsible for a child that has begun to start growing up, and you still see them as an infant. You're aware that they're growing every day and you see the changes. One day it just smacks you in the face that that infant that you were holding and putting a bottle and changing their diapers, they're talking now. They're walking on their own. They're becoming more independent. But the one thing that never changes is your desire to protect them even as they begin to grow and become more independent. Which, as a side note, that's why news of the Boruto anime director liking some of the posts that Boruto anime writers have put up about wanting to adapt more of the light novels into the anime going forward is so exciting, because in a lot of those novels you see more of the parental side and you see more of those interactions. You see them from a different perspective. For instance, I believe it's the Boruto movie novelization or the Naruto Shinden parent and child day novelization, a scene that was not shown in the anime. Naruto is in the Hokage office and he's been looking at the photos of his son and of his daughter Himawari for so long that the picture frames have worn edges where you can feel Naruto's thumbprint from when he was holding on to the frame so much over time. And the older the photos get of Boruto and Himawari, the more worn out the photos are, because Naruto's away from his child for such an extended period of time. You get small moments like Sasuke and Sakura talking about how much Sarada looks up to Sasuke and about how Sasuke feels a very intense burden to live up to the image of himself that Sarada has in his head. There are a lot of small moments where if the anime adapts that, you get scenes like what you just got in this latest Boruto anime episode. So I love what the anime did right here, playing up that conflict, because this conflict is central to Naruto's character growth in this Boruto era. And just piggybacking on that a little bit further, I like how they take the opportunity to have Sasuke talk with Naruto on top of the Hokage office, and you see another callback to one of the light novels where it gets revealed that Naruto allowed Boruto to strike down Momoshiki. Instead of going along with the plan to just outright kill Momoshiki himself, Naruto allowed Boruto to do it, and Boruto got the karma seal as a result of it. That's something that neither Naruto or Sasuke has forgotten. And so when you have Sasuke saying that none of this was your fault, that's an indirect callback to that line that you have there. And what I also like is how they tie in Sasuke making that promise to Boruto that if anything were to happen and Momoshiki was to take over, it looked like you couldn't be saved, I will kill you. But Sasuke has the same issue that the third Hokage had, which is the third Hokage could have killed Orochimaru, knew he needed to kill Orochimaru, but in that moment he hesitated. And Kakashi says that when he's fighting against Sasuke in the Five Kage Summit, he says, I finally know how the third Hokage felt. And Kakashi for a moment did hesitate, but Kakashi eventually willed himself to fighting Sasuke. Well, what Sasuke reveals is that when he saw Momoshiki take over Boruto's body, he remembered that promise, but he was hesitating himself. But he said the next time that happens, he will not hesitate. And he tells Naruto that you have to face reality now. And what I like about that is a dual meaning. And this goes back to the whole premise of the show, which is in the Naruto world, ninja must learn to see past deception. That doesn't just apply to combat situations. It's also the hidden meaning in the words that are spoken to you. Sasuke is referring to not just Boruto, but also the fact that Naruto can't deal with the situation like he did before. He no longer has Kurama. And Sasuke saying, if Momoshiki takes over, you cannot defeat him as you are currently. But what I like right there is that you just see that internal conflict manifesting and it's steadily growing. That's great character development right there. And I thought that building up towards that ending of the episode where Naruto's sitting on top of the Hokage monument with Boruto and he's explaining the situation to Boruto and he's trying to reassure his son, there's so much symbolism in that scene right there to where just reading some of the comments that I've seen on social media, I don't think people truly grasp how symbolic that is and how much care was taken into the script when it came to that. So the reason why that scene hits hard so much is Naruto has confronted his reality of one day having to kill his son and having to do so not as a father, but as a Hokage, and being forced to come to that realization with the conversation with Sasuke on top of the Hokage office, and then sitting there and accepting that reality when he's talking to Boruto on top of the Hokage monument. The reason why that hits home so hard is Naruto's in the same situation that his own father was in. Minato was given the opportunity by his wife. A lot of people miss this. I believe it's Naruto chapter 503, but I know for a fact it's in Naruto volume 53 because that's one of my favorite Naruto manga volumes. But in Naruto volume 53, around chapter 503, chapter 504, Kushina tells Minato, "I'll drag the Kyuubi with me to death. You raise our son. Our son needs his father." And Minato directly tells her, "As much as I would love to stick around for our child, I cannot forsake my village. It's my duty as Hokage to do what I'm about to do." And that's when Minato seals part of the Kyuubi into Naruto and then seals the other half into himself. Minato during that time was able to put aside his own desires as a father, and he was able to make that heartbreaking choice as a Hokage. The same thing that Hashirama once said that he would do. That's the decision that Naruto is having to steel his heart to do. And I like how what the voice actor for Naruto did during that time is as Naruto's hand was shaking, you can hear the heavy breathing and the starting signs of Naruto having a panic attack. I love that because in that moment, Naruto is realizing the very hands that he used to hold his son when he was a newborn, when he was an infant, when he was a toddler, the very hands that he's using now to comfort his son to the point where his son trusts him enough to go to sleep, Naruto might one day have to use those very hands to end the life of his child, and it's absolutely breaking Naruto at that point. I love that. That is a very beautiful moment, and it really just sets up for the whole reveal with Amato, which I still don't trust Amato. I get what they did here, but the reason why I don't trust him is I do believe that Anoiki's granddaughter is right, that this could be a dog and pony show. Amato has an ulterior motive, and it is possible that he used the situation to gain more favor with Naruto, who did not truly trust him 100% like he told the Kage. But also, there could be some credibility to what he said of, "I had a daughter, she died 12 years ago. 12 years ago puts you dangerously close to the time period of Naruto the Last." And I've done a whole video talking about the possibility who of Amato's daughter is and that situation there. But what I will say is the anime did make some changes. So one thing that the anime changed to the scene is originally Naruto and Amato, they have the conversation in the lab. They have it here on the Hokage monument, and what I like about what they did is you have the backdrop of Naruto letting Boruto go to sleep, which is a side note that's pretty huge in the fact that Boruto was not able to go to sleep until he was in his father's arms. That just goes back to the parent and child relationship. But also, Amato tells him the only reason why Kawaki's karma didn't progress as fast as Boruto's karma is I was giving him these drugs to suppress the Byakugan gene, and it slows down the Otsutsukification. Now, in the manga, Amato directly tells Naruto that this could kill Boruto, but what they did in the anime is the narrative implication was there. He says that this should slow down the Otsutsukification, and Boruto confirms that the karma has not begun to continue decrypting. He just needs to continue taking the pills. But in the manga, it's directly stated that if Boruto keeps taking them, there's a possibility he can die. So what Amato does say in the anime is that they don't know for certain what the side effects are. Now, because they added so much content to this episode, the screenwriter for the episode had to change some stuff around. I personally feel like the narrative implication was strong enough there, but the line about making sure Himawari and Hinata don't take those drugs because it can kill them, that part was taken out, so that was an interesting choice right there. But I did think that this was a solid payoff to getting up to this moment here. Now, what I also like about this moment right here is that The strong internal conflict is done so well that you can take this episode and you can send it to all of these stupid idiots that say, oh my god, Boruto's a main character, he has no struggle, no internal conflict, he doesn't struggle towards nothing, he has no problems, he's just a spoiled brat who has everything handed to him. You can send them this episode, you can send them screenshots from it, and if they continue to say that, you can effectively say that your dumbass is still stuck in Naruto Shippuden. Your dumbass continues to use the same arguments that Boruto's a spoiled brat because you didn't like the fact that he told Naruto he can take his ramen bowl, shine it up, turn it sideways, and stick it up his ass back in 2017. If your level of comprehension is stuck in 2017, if you have to regurgitate the talking points that someone else has said for your reason why you dislike something, because you are too stupid to think for yourself, to where you can't form an educated and informed opinion on something without quoting someone else's thoughts and opinion verbatim, which shows that you have no opinion of your own. You're just using someone else's words. Respectfully, shut the hell up. When I dropped Black Clover, you didn't hear me talk about it. And when people told me I need to give it a second chance, I gave it a second chance, and therefore I talk about it now. But when I wasn't rocking with it, I shut the hell up about it. When everybody on social media began to dump on Black Clover after the first few episodes, I just did me and I stayed in my lane. I let the people who enjoyed it enjoy it. I didn't speak on the series because I didn't have any comprehension past the first 50 chapters. And I wasn't going to make myself look like an idiot by dumping on something that I know absolutely nothing about. Just like I do with Dr. Stone, that's not my cup of tea. You don't see me bash Dr. Stone. But when the anime does stuff like it did today, oh, you better believe I got time to go ahead and talk that talk. I'm well aware that Kawaki gives the arm back to Naruto, and Naruto asks him if he wants to become a Genin, and Kawaki says, I'll think about it. If you read the manga, you know why that's such a huge moment right there. But, you know, overall, this was a solid episode, man. This was a really big episode in terms of showcasing the internal conflict that Naruto and Boruto have and having it manifest in an external way. When you do writing like this, you don't necessarily have to rely on action. This is what I mean when I say good, strong character development goes a long way for a series. So my episode question to you guys is, on a scale from 1 to 10, if it looked like there was no way to save Boruto, how likely do you think Naruto will be able to come to the same decision that his own father and the first Hokage were willing to come to put the village before their own child? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.